All right. Hello and welcome. We're going to be talking about today's micro training in our general mastermind roundtable discussion. We're focused on networking and the relationship loop. Now, my name is E.R. Wolf. I'm joined by my partner, Guy Tool here at Elify. And we're so excited to talk to you about this because, Guy, as you and I both know, and we've heard this before, your network is your net worth. So what does that mean? That means that the relationships that you develop, build, find, foster, one, can be potential customers of yours, but two, can be the access point to the next potential customer. So, Guy, we know the average person knows about 600 people. Right. So let's think about this. If we've got 600 people right now, and they all know 600 people, we are starting to open up ourselves to a massive marketplace that I will tell you right now, a majority of people are just not working.
Right. Right. And it at times it feels like you're scraping to figure out who you're wanting to network with. Words to hopefully encourage us to go out there is you don't know unless you ask. You can't build a relationship unless you're willing to reach out and make those relationships. So of the 600 on average that there's an opportunity to speak to 600 people and understand that it's a giver's gain mentality. It's a networking mentality that you want to foster and build relationships. And we love that it's really done through the Shuffle platform. And here at Elify, that is one of our biggest focuses, right? What does Elify improve, or what can these solutions do from us from a micro technology aspect is we really want to focus on the elements of marketing, networking, and referring. And when talking about this week's theme, networking and referring work hand in hand. They're cohesive. And you've got to go into it knowing that I'm here to support. I'm here to help. I'm here to provide something that may be of value to you. And it's not the thought of I'm coming into this relationship to take. Because yes, they're give take, but the give is one of the biggest things that you need to realize or understand when going into networking, going into relationships. We've talked about it since day one, since we went and got our first seed capital. Yeah. We've got two of these and one of these, and two of these are going to get us a lot further in a relationship. And we've continued to see that over the years.
Yeah, I think you're so right in that. And the key is relationship. Far too often, you and I see individuals who are trying to just sell, and sell too, and it's one and done, and on to the next one. And they wonder why they're not seeing the results or the conversion that they'd like to see. And they're always on the hunt for the next prospect or the next lead. And here's the reality, right? We are data guys. We are statistics-based guys. The average sale is happening between the 5th and the 12th interaction. That's because you're building relationship. You're building a bridge between you and your potential customer or partner, and they're doing business with the people they know, like, and trust. If you haven't built that with your prospects, with your potential customers, with your referrals, you're missing out on a massive opportunity. Think about that. 80% of sales are happening between that 5th and that 12th follow-up. If you're doing that one outreach or, and that's like 80% of people. 80% of people are just doing a single or less than 2 outreaches to a potential lead or a prospect. And then they're like, if nothing happens, I'm on to the next one. And they just let that relationship die, fizzle out, or fall through the cracks. In fact, half of people out there, including the people you're talking with right now, they won't even do a single follow-up, even if they think business can happen. So you need to take and put the ball in your court. You need to build the relationship, bring it into your network so that you can start working it. And what we're going to be talking about on today's micro training is really this relationship loop, a pattern that you can follow, a system or a process with every single relationship that will never allow that relationship to fall through the cracks, that will allow you to foster that relationship long term, that will allow you to sell through that relationship and get referred in business, And it's so powerful because it can have a massive impact for any business owner, for any entrepreneur, for any sales professional out there who is in a relationship-based business, who talks to their customer, who serves their customer, who solves their customers' problems.
So when we talk about that relationship loop, that is sort of the elements that we brought into our micro CRM, right? The micro technology of Shuffle has micro technologies within each one of the features. And our CRM, it really is the who is this person? How do I know them? When did we interact? What did we interact about? And when are we going to interact again? That is your relationship loop. And ER, you mentioned it, right? We all know you can do a Google search, you can do a Bing search, whatever platform you use. You can go off and do a search to see the statistics in sales and relationships, and knowing that you buy from people that you know, like, and trust. That is the ultimate. Otherwise, you're just looking based on price. And price would be something that you would go to some site, say Amazon, and you're looking for the lowest cost of something. And not all the time the lowest cost is the best thing. But to know in that know, like, and trust element, 80% of sales are done between the 5th and 12th follow-up, yet I would be willing to bet less than 20% of people get into that follow-up loop, get into that relationship loop. And that's why there's such a mass chasm between successful in sales and dabbling in it. And take any business out there that is sales focused. They've got a system. They've got a process. They train on it, right? You join, they hire you. You go through training on how to do sales. People that are unwilling to do a 5th to 12th follow-up weed themselves out pretty quick in those sales processes. And just thinking about, industries that we're familiar with, and people that utilize our solution, to know the 1% that's doing those are the ones that always are getting the recognition. Well, why are they getting the recognition from their company? Because they've followed the system, they followed the process, and have built relationships that are meaningful, they last. They're probably also the ones that are willing or receiving referrals from those relationships. So just from a micro aspect, a micro technology, you've got to have a system in place to build the relationship loop, or to follow a relationship loop. And that is one of the key attributes, key features with the CRM element within Shuffle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you hit on some very valuable points I want to call out to everybody who's watching this training. The first thing is really this Pareto principle mentality, that 80-20 rule we've all heard about, where 20% of people are getting 80% of the results. Those 20% of people are just following the process or system we're prescribing, where I'm going to stay on top of interacting with my prospects over time so that I'm more in that field of the 5 to 12 interactions that are resulting in sales. And again, 80% of people, the other 80%, they're doing 2 or less. So if you want to be unlike everybody else, if you want to set yourself apart, you need to be in that 20% that's having those 5 to 12 interactions. Number 2, right? What do we need to know about the individuals we're interacting with? Because a lot of the time, people are spewing information, right? You mentioned it. They're not listening with the 2 of these that they have, and they're more using the 1 of these that they have to talk at people. No, you want to know about that person. Who are they? How do I know them? When have we interacted? What did we interact about? And when are we going to interact again? These are the 5 main questions you should be able to answer on every single person within your network. I'm going to say those again. Who are they? Do you know their information, how you met them, how to get a hold of them, what their preferred method of contact is? Any information is going to be valuable for your interactions with that individual, because that information is going to include things like their problems, you know what I mean? And how you can provide a solution to those problems. So who are they? How do you know them, right? Were you introduced? Was it a lead capture? Did they fill out a form at an event? Did you meet them at a coffee shop or in the grocery store line? All of that builds a dossier about the individual that you're interacting with. And it makes you raise up in credibility because you're remembering that stuff.
Right.
Who are they? How do you know them? When have you interacted? Have you ever interacted with them? How many times have you interacted? Remember, our goal is 5 to 12 or more. What did you interact about? Are you logging this information? It doesn't matter whether it's in a notebook, in a note, somewhere. You want to be able to come back and reference that material so that when you go to have the next interaction, you have a point of reference, right? You can pick up the conversation where you left off. You can ask about those items and issues that person brought up, independent of the amount of time that has gone between interactions. And finally, when are you going to interact again? This is the key element. When are you going to interact again? And that part creates that whole loop of the cycle. And that's really what we want to, sort of focus on today's networking training for the relationship loop. And let's talk about just a typical relationship sample guy, right? You and I are out at an event. We meet somebody. We're having a great conversation. We've just met somebody new. So we've gathered their information. That's getting your contact, getting your lead, getting your prospect, getting your potential customer, and you're adding them into your network. How do you typically do that right now? You need to ask yourself, are you putting them into your phone? Are you connecting with them on social? Is it sort of just a one and done and then you forget about it? Or are you actually putting them into your relationship manager and starting that loop? So you gather their information. Who are they, right? Then you start taking some notes. What have you interacted about? So when I say, who are they? How do you know them? Guy and I went to an event. We met John Doe. We met John Doe at the event. That's how we know them, right? What did we interact about? We logged those notes. We had a great conversation about technology, micro training, business growth, statistics, whatever it is, product A, B, and C, what we talked about, what their issues are. Again, you're not going to try and solve the world's problems on the first interaction. You're just going to have an interaction. And look, if luck happens, you might get a sale off of an individual interaction, right? But that might be the exception rather than the rule. So the relationship loop continues on. After that interaction, you're logging your notes, you're setting a follow-up reminder. And that follow-up reminder could be, for 24 hours from now, I'm going to call you tomorrow, John. It was so good. I can't wait to schedule a time to grab coffee, whatever those things are. Or it might be, hey, look, love this, but now's not the right time. We're going to talk to each other next quarter. Again, there's a duration of time that's going to lapse. And this is the gap or the chasm, guy, you were talking about, where typical relationships fall through, right? The moment you stop the interaction that you just had and you fail to have another interaction, that's where 80% of people are failing right now, right? They go 2 interactions or less, right? I met you and we had an interaction. Then I sent you a text message, or I IM'd you something, or I shot you one email. And I don't know whether you opened it, whether it went into your spam box, anything, right? I don't know if chaos happened in your life and you just didn't get around to it. And then I give up. That's the typical norm. We can't be normal, guys. We got to continue on with that relationship. So after we have those interactions, we set the expectation for the next interaction tomorrow, 3 months from now, a year, doesn't matter. And we set that follow-up reminder. Why? So that we can avoid the brain damage of thinking, who do I have to follow up with? No, I just want to look at the list of people I need to follow up with and start taking the next interaction with those people. So the follow-up goes off, right? I come back into my relationship manager. I review my notes. I bring myself up to speed. Sometimes if the duration is short, it's pretty simple. I know what we talked about yesterday, but if it's been a few days, a few weeks, a few months since we last talked, I want to bring myself up to speed so that when I go into that next interaction, I know exactly what we talked about, when we talked about it, and what our sort of next step expectations were. And then I have that next interaction. That's the action that we take to continue that loop around. That next interaction leads to gathering more information. Maybe a sale happens then, maybe it doesn't. I log the notes, I set the follow-up, I rinse and repeat, and that creates a loop or a circle. When we put stuff in a loop, right, where the end then leads to the beginning again, nothing falls through the cracks. So Guy, I know in closing here, I want to take an opportunity. We're going to share briefly how you do this relationship loop within the Shuffle app. Okay, so that if you're watching this and you've never used Shuffle before, you're going to see exactly how simple this is to implement and how you can do it with the device you already have in your pocket right now. So, Guy, if you have anything to add, I'm just going to share my phone screen here in a second, and we'll go through that.
Let's go with it. And why you're bringing that up, these are micro trainings, and we will go through this. Then we're going to cut this off, and we're going to continue on with everyone that's on, because really want to look at from our Monday sprint planning and having conversations with people in their networking, and making sure we're helping each and every one of you from the process of what this relationship loop looks like in each one of the networking events you attended this week, and how we can really streamline these as well. When everyone else has their opportunities to talk, we're listening, so we're taking that information down.
Absolutely. And with that being said, Guy, look, if you're watching this and you're not on the live and you want to join the conversation, this is your reminder to get on these lives so that after we're done with the training, you can stick around for Q&A as we go through and discuss everything we just covered in the training. So I've got my phone up. You can see down here at the bottom in my main apps, I've got my Shuffle app front and center, right? So I can continue to work it. I want to be a daily active user on my relationships and managing them. I'm going to launch Shuffle. You can see it defaults to my cards, the marketing material I'm sharing out to people, but I'm going to select contacts, and let's go on ahead and open up one of our contacts. Hey, here's our contact. We're just reviewing it. We entered in that contact when we first met them. We may have come down and added some notes, right? So we can review those notes and what we talked about. We can continue to edit those notes so that we can come back. We can add multiple notes, or what you'll see right here, new photo. If you're one of those people who writes notes down in a notebook, you can just snap a picture of those notes so you don't have to rewrite them and come back and reference them, and they're all going to be in one location. So when I'm going through that relationship loop, I've added my contact, I've logged my notes, I'm setting my follow-up reminders, and I can see I already have pending follow-up reminders and past follow-up reminders. I'm working towards that 5 to 12 that I know will result in sales. It might happen on the 3rd, it might happen on the 4th, but we know 80% are happening between 5 to 12. So we want to work towards that, if anything. I would review that when the reminder goes off. And again, if you saw my list, I can see, all right, tomorrow I'm going to have my reminder go off. I can set it, as they say, and forget it. And then my phone's just going to go off. I'm going to look at it. It's going to say, time to follow up with ER. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to come in, scroll down, take a quick review, like we said, the notes. Okay, now I'm ready to have the interaction. In here, I've got easy access to call or text or email. I'm going to call, have that interaction. Hey, remember we last talked about this. We talked about having coffee next Monday. I just want to confirm that coffee, the location and the time, and make sure we set the right expectation. I will see you there. Hang up the phone, log that note, set the reminder for Monday to make it to the coffee shop, and rinse and repeat. After each interaction, I'm setting the expectation for the next interaction, right? And then I'm setting the follow-up reminder, taking the note, and then just waiting for the reminder to go off. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Once you implement this process, you will realize exactly how simple it is. You will realize that it takes maybe less than 2 to 5 minutes just to do a quick review and set yourself up for an interaction. And that's going to set you apart from everybody else. So with that being said, Guy, I know we went a little bit over our 15-minute allotment here, but the key is implement the loop. If you're not, you're falling into that 80% most likely. And we want you to elevate your business, right? We want you to take it to the next level and be more successful.
There's a process, there's a system.
Yep.
Implementation is going to be key. So we're going to end our training, the live training. We'll continue on with everyone that's on. Have an opportunity, give it a thumbs up, share it with others. We're all about supporting and helping. So from us here for our Thursday Mastermind at Elify, everyone have a great